Hello students, I hope you all have seen part 1 and part 2 of chapter 10. In part 2 we discussed about the qualification of the member of Rajya Sabha, and then the speaker of Lok Sabha we discussed, and how the casting of vote happens in that, and then we saw about when a bill become an act. Now moving ahead with this chapter, we'll read further. See, in the last part, we discussed what is a bill. See, when a law that is to be implemented in a country, it needs to be first created. And to create the law, the proposal is made in the parliament either by the members of the parliament or the government itself, or through its cabinet minister proposes the parliament to create a law, and then drafted proposal to create a desired law, that is called a bill. And the bill that goes through three readings and several stages, and it is approved and it becomes an act, that is law. And in that we had discussed also how a bill become an act. And now we will moving ahead, we'll see uh, the procedure of an act from bill, ordinary bill. See, a drafted proposal to create a desired law is called a bill, and that bill goes through three reading and stages, and if approved they become an act, that is law. The first reading, in the first reading what they it is done, a parliament member is there or a minister, he introduces the bill in either the house of parliament, that is a Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. See, if the procedure of this bill of the parliament minister, that is called first reading, and that is titled an objective, that the reason of the bill they are described. And before presenting this bill, any bill in the state legislative and assembly, recommendations of the chairman is needed of the house before presenting any bill in the center. The recommendation of the president is that is also required. And in first reading of the bill, the general informations of the bill that is discussed, and the objective with this reason they are voting is when that is also necessary. See, section wise all the discussion is done in the every point, and its objective is what is repercussions are examined. Repercussions is they are all examined, amendments are being done. It is on the basis of public, group, association, institution or opinion of the opposition party also, and voting is carried out on that way. See, introduction of the bill is how it done. The process of presenting or introducing a bill in the house of the parliament, that is called a first reading of the bill. And this bill they contain objective and the reason of introduction. For introducing ordinary bill in any house, recommendations of the president officer of that house is, that is speaker in case of Lok Sabha, and vice president in case of Rajya Sabha is required. And for introducing money bill, which is in the Lok Sabha, the recommendation of president that is required, and whereas for introducing money bill in Vidhan Sabha, legislative assembly, the recommendation of the governor of state is required in that. And reading of the bill, how it is done, in the first reading the bill of the bill, the general points of the bill they are discussed, and if any point is opposed, then the opposing member they need to provide reason for opposition. And if the opposition they cannot be settled easily, then voting may be carried out to become to a conclusion. And now the second reading, the second reading is that in the second reading that each point of every section of the bill that is discussed in detail also, and objective of that bill and reaction of the member, that is they are discussed and they are clarified. And the bill, that is amendment, that is based on inputs obtained from discussion with public group organization or by the opinion of the opposition, etc. It has been taken, and finally the voting is carried out to decide if the amendment bill should be allowed to move ahead or not. See, like this way voting happens. And second reading, in case if the house is busy. See what happens if the second reading, in the case when the house is busy, then what, at the time the house may be extremely busy or it might be overloaded with any work. In such situation it may not be able to discuss the bill in detail, so the house then hands over the bill to a committee. He hands the bill to the committee of subject expert who are there, and the members who are having a special knowledge also, to examine the bill thoroughly. And the committee also consider public opinion, they consider, and does necessary discussion, they move, and then they suggest the required changes or draft a report on a, when they make a report on the bill. And the committee that passes, who passes the bill to the parliament, which then they send to the third reading, then first over second, and then it goes to a third reading. And the third reading in first house. See, the third reading that is done, the reading in the first house. The third reading of the bill is only a formality, is one type of formality. Whether the change in the bill they are accepted or rejected are clearly explained with proper logic and reasoning also. And again a voting is being conducted to approve the changes made in the bill, if there is a change in the bill. And during the voting, if majority of the member they pass the bill, then the bill is declared to be passed. And the passed bill that is signed by whom? By the chairman or a presiding officer of the house, and is sent to other house of the parliament, then it is sent to the other house of parliament. And reading in the second house, how it is done, in the other second house, that too the bill goes through the same process as discussed earlier. If the other house also passes the bill, and it is sent to the president for his approval. And in case if the second house they reject the bill, then if the second house does not pass the bill, then it is sent to the first house. And if the second house they keep the bill for a more than 6 months without passing it, then the bill is considered rejected, then it is not they reject the bill. And how the approval of presidents happen over here, when the president they receive the bill, and he has the following three options, which are they: he signs the bill and hence approve it, they hold the bill and keep it with them, or he sends the bill back to the parliament for reconsideration. And once the president he signs the bill, then it become an act or a law. And after the bill they become after that bill it becomes an act, it is published by the government gazette, that is journal. And finally the bill that gets implemented as a law in the country, when this bill get implemented, they have been implemented as a law in the country from the date it is published in the journal. See, this all are the procedure, all is the procedure of the bill to be passed on. See, when any bill that amends constitution is presented in any house of the parliament, it has to be passed in the majority of the members of the house, and by 2/3 of the members they are present and voting. And if this bill pertains to any matter related to center or the state, it requires permission of more than half the legislative assembly of the state. See what is said over here, that the parliament, the house of parliament, they can pass the majority, pass the bill by the majority number of the members who are there in the house, and by how much, 2/3 of the member who are present, and voting also can be done. And if this bill that pretends to any matter, it is pretends to any matter and related to center or any state, then it requires permission more than half the legislative, it needs the permission of more than half the legislative assemblies of the state. and this bill also goes through the same process. In the same process it goes as we have discussed in the ordinary bill. And the next is the procedures subject to money bill. See, for procedure, what are the subjects to the money bill? See, a bill that contains financial matters, they are lying to which is considering the financial matter, such as laying or lifting taxes, budget, etc., that is called as a money bill. And a money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha, and it is the speaker of Lok Sabha who decide if the bill is introduced in a money bill or not. And if the speaker of the Lok Sabha who decide if the bill is introduced in money bill or not, and the budget of the center is then presented around 28th February in Lok Sabha by financial finance minister, he can present it. All the money bill, they are presented in the Lok Sabha with the passes the following procedure. See, all these procedures are being held. See, first one is the preliminary discussion is being carried out on the money bill that is presented in the Lok Sabha. The second is the expenses which are mentioned in the budget, they are discussed upon, and the finance minister, they present all the numerical digits. See, first is preliminary discussion is being carried on this money bill, and then what happened, the expense, whatever the expense they are mentioned in the budget covers all this, and they discussed upon that. And then the finance minister, he present all the numerical details, he sees the number, he present all the details of the budget in the parliament. And the minister of all the field, see, minister of agriculture, science, defense, trade, commerce, human resources, etc., from all the different fields, they put forward the need of finance which is required in their field, in front of whom, in front of Lok Sabha. And voting is that is carried out to get permission of fund, they get the permission of fund by demanding of each minister. And the next one, the fourth one, is the sources of income and the taxes, how this are formed, they are separately presented in the budget, and both are to be approved separately, they are approved separately. See, once the money bill they get approved, it need the following given procedures. See what procedures are taken. So the money bill that is approved in the Lok Sabha is first sent to whom? To Rajya Sabha for recommendation, and then the Rajya Sabha, they need to review it, and then it is sent to the Lok Sabha with necessary recommendation they makes. And within how many days? Within 14 days only. And if the Rajya Sabha, they does not send the money bill back to Lok Sabha, if they are not sending within 14 days, then the bill is considered to have been passed by Rajya Sabha. See, if they don't send within 14 days Lok Sabha, then that bill is considered to be passed by Rajya Sabha. And the Lok Sabha can either, they can accept or reject also all the recommendation of Rajya Sabha. And if the Lok Sabha, they accept the recommendation whatever are there of the Rajya Sabha, then the bill that is considered to have, that is to be passed by the both the houses of parliament. And however, if the Lok Sabha reject the recommendation, if they reject recommendation of Rajya Sabha, and the bill which is there is again there is passed to the Lok Sabha, then it comes against to the Lok Sabha, and then the money bill, which is the bill is the money bill, is considered to have been passed by both the houses of parliament. And hence in this matter of the money bill, the Rajya Sabha has limited power. See, in this Rajya Sabha, they are having the limited power, and after the money bill is passed by both the houses of parliament, then it is sent to whom? To the president. For what? For his assent. And then president go through it, and president has to sign this money bill, and then after his signature, if he finds the budget is not passed in the house, then the government has to resign. See, all these are the procedure of the money bill get approved. Different procedure how the money bill is getting approved. See, apart from all the houses, that is social, economic, and political, defense, foreign matters, they all are discussed. And the Lok Sabha, they monitor and they control the working of whom executive, cabinet ministers, and the bureaucrats. And if it is said that work of all the elected members, they see the fund that are collected of the people, now of the people are utilized in properly. See, the funds which are collected are utilized properly. All these work are being seen by them. And the Lok Sabha, they has a direct control over the use of public fund. They can use the public fund directly, Lok Sabha. And without the consent of the houses, without having the consent with the houses of the parliament, no new taxes can be levied, or any improvement or in the existing taxes that can be done. And see, the houses of the parliament are also called as custodians of public fund. See, the houses which are there in the parliament, they are known as the custodian of public fund also, and they are controlling what the functioning, all the functioning of executive. And beside the parliament, they has the power to remove president, vice president, chief justice of the supreme court, as well as they have as of the high court also. And the chief election of commissions, auditor general or attorney general under the charge of proven misbehavior. If the misbehavior is being seen, they can, if all this they has the power to remove it. And the inefficient or any violations of the constitution is seen, or through the process of impeachment also. I hope you all have understood till here.